I've been grinding Helldivers 2 since launch here. 10 things I wish I knew when I started. You can hold R while in raid to mod your weapons. Basically, this allows you to change whether your flashlight and laser are on. You can change the fire rate. This is especially helpful with the machine gun. For some reason, the machine gun support weapon starts with like a 760 RPM, and you can change that to a higher RPM of like 900. And the recoil is basically non-existent in this game, so there's no reason not to use a higher firing rate with that weapon. But this applies to other weapons as well. You can also change the firing mode, although I'd pretty much always leave stuff on full auto. You can change the scope magnification on, rifle. So like the basic assault rifle that you start off with, you can change the scope magnification on that. I'll always leave it at 100 because it's pretty good even for close range. And then also when you're holding down R, it shows the number of bullets that are in your magazine. Dying is okay. It's not a big deal if you die. If you're playing solo, you can always reinforce yourself. And if you're playing with a team, make sure they use the reinforce stratagem and you'll be able to spawn back in. Going along with this tip, if you die and you spawn back in with your hell pod, when your hell pod is coming down and you see the fire coming off of it, you can actually move where it comes down with WASD. This can be good so you don't land on top of a mountain or a building, but it can also be good because if you land on top of an enemy titan or an enemy charger, any of the big things, you can actually kill them with the hell pods. So the hell pods do a ton of damage. I think they count as explosive possibly, and they are absolutely strong. So definitely land on the enemy with your hell pods. Next, make sure you only reload a mag when it's empty. It's sort of like the harder or hardcore games like Tarkov or something like that, where if you reload a magazine before it's empty, you lose all the ammo that was in that mag. You lose the entire mag. Basically, you're throwing it out. So make sure, and this is not a PvP game, so usually you have time to use your entire mag. The only caveat to this is, if your mag's almost empty when you're using a machine gun where it takes like 5 seconds to reload that when you're not in the middle of a fight. But other than that, your small guns where you can run while reloading, make sure you reload them only when you're out of ammo. And on that note of running out of ammo, make sure you use your resupply. It's free. It resets pretty fast. So use your resupply stratagem and use it efficiently with your teammates. Make sure each of y'all get part of the resupply if you need to, because if you're a single person, you actually can take multiple of the parts from the resupply. And there are other places you can get ammo, especially like at extract. You'll find a bunch of ammo there and in different POIs across the map. So next, the timer at the top, if it runs out, it doesn't mean your mission is a failure. I'm pretty sure you can still, finish your mission objective. You just won't have access to stratagems or reinforcements anymore. So it can be really hard if you're playing on a hard difficulty. Make sure you're trying to finish before the timer runs out, but it doesn't mean the mission is over if the timer runs out. It just means that it will be a lot harder. Next, you can break arms and legs in this game. You probably didn't know this, but when you have that red square on your screen at the bottom, it can mean that your arm or leg is broken. So if your legs are broken, it will slow you down. If your arms are broken, it will hurt your ability to aim. I think it gives you more recoil, stuff like that, or makes you worse at controlling the rifles, which is really the same as increasing your recoil. The way you fix this is you can just stim it. And on the note of stimming, stims also give you more stamina. So if you're running away and you run out of stamina, it's that white bar at the bottom. You can actually use your stim to gain more stamina. Additionally, if you're taking a bunch of damage from a lot of mobs, a stim will actually out heal through all that damage because it heals by like a percentage, and it pretty much always heals you to full as well, I'm pretty sure, but it will heal through damage. So if you're about to take a bunch of damage, you can actually sort of pre-stim through it and not die immediately. And on the idea of dying, choose what armor you're using carefully. There are a couple armors in the game that allow you to have a 50% chance of not dying when you take lethal damage. I'd say those are pretty strong right now. So unless you're doing something special with the scout armor, stuff like that, I would use those armors at all times just because that's a really OP trait to have on a weapon. So moving on to stratagems. Don't forget to use your stratagems. If you're using your guns all the time, it can be easy to forget that you can call in like orbital strikes and stuff, but your stratagems really are the strongest thing you have in this game. Make sure you always have at least one support weapon from your stratagems, and use your orbital strikes, use your eagles to take out the big things like nests and outposts, stuff like that. So on the subject of nests, when you kill a nest, make sure you go in there and loot it. Sometimes you can find samples from different places. Not that samples make too big of a difference, but if you're trying to grind them, nests will drop them if you destroy an entire nest. And some stratagems can take out entire nests single-handedly. So like an orbital strike probably wouldn't, but if you have like the 380 HE millimeter grenades from that type of orbital strike probably will take out an entire nest. It needs to be like a prolonged bombardment with explosives. So next, you can actually ping areas in the game with Q. You use Q as your hotkey to ping areas like by aiming at them, but you can also ping areas on the map. So if you hold down, tab to open or you just tap tab to open the map, then hold down your right click, and then you can actually mark areas with your left click. So beacons in the distance are generally POIs that have metals or samples. It'll sort of see as a pulsing beam going up from the ground, and it'll either be like gold or yellow, or gold or white. I'm not actually sure if that means that you're going to get different things from them. You can get metals, you can get super credits, you can get ammo, grenades, and weapons. But, the most important thing is getting those metals and super credits. Probably even metals are more important than super credits just because those aren't a big deal to get. And if you already have like the Steeled Veterans thing unlocked, then, there's not really any point in super credits other than the skins in the shop. So moving on from the beacons, make sure you're playing with teammates. It's a lot easier to clear the map and get more it's a lot easier to clear the map when you are playing with your teammates, just because you have as twice or 3 times or 4 times as many stratagems to use. You have more firepower, and they don't really make it harder the more players you have, at least that I know of. So definitely play with teammates. You also get more XP from playing with teammates because, for one, you finish faster, and there is a timer bonus. You get like 80 XP, for example, if you finish with 80% of the timer left. Additionally, for each teammate that you extract with, you get like 20 XP and maybe 100 credits per or something like that. So it's really worth it to play with teammates. And if you don't have friends, I wouldn't use quick play. Just open up in the settings. There's a setting where you can open up to either your friends or to the public. Choose a thing. Choose one of the missions, open your thing up to public. I almost always have people join on me, and this keeps you away from dealing with party leaders that don't start the game fast enough, party leaders that kick you when you join. Make your own game, don't join someone else's. It lets you choose the mission that you want. On that note, make sure you choose a mission that goes fast. So generally I'd choose the missions where it's just exterminate the enemy, because those go a lot faster than refuel the ICBM or change the fuel valves or raise the flag. All those take a long time and are pretty slow. So another thing on stratagems with your teammates, make sure you don't stack a bunch of stratagems with your teammates. This can be hard if you can't communicate with them, but there is in-game voice chat, and maybe just call it out when you're going to use a stratagem. So both you don't kill your teammates with your stratagems, and so that you don't stack multiple stratagems on the enemy when you don't need to. That being said, if you have turrets, turrets are really easy to team kill with, so be careful where you're placing your turrets down. It can be really useful to put them on the higher ground so they shoot over your head. And with your orbital strikes, stuff like that, don't call them down on your teammates unless you're doing it to have fun. And one last thing, don't shoot at patrols unless you know what you're doing. If you see a patrol of enemies walking by and they haven't spotted you, it can save you a lot of time if you just walk past and don't shoot them, because when you shoot them, especially if they're the bugs, they'll shoot up that orange smoke, and it's pretty much impossible to kill them before they shoot up the orange smoke. And when they do that, it causes them to call in a breach, which will make a bunch of, it's like 3 waves of bugs spawn in, and then you can have more patrols run across you, and it will waste a lot of your time. You don't get more XP for killing more enemies. There's no grind like that. You really don't get anything except when you complete objectives. So it is not worth it to shoot patrols if you don't need to. So there you have it. I'll have more tip videos coming out later this week. I'll also have a bunch of other videos going, like a beginner's guide and probably a review as well. If you enjoyed this video, please help me out by, hitting that subscribe button and commenting what your favorite tip is. And if you have a tip that I didn't cover, let me know in the comments below. I really appreciate it. I have a best loadout for beginners video that I'll send you to in the top right.